Hello there, welcome to Inkquiring Minds. My name is Doug and I'm back with another Pen Resurrection Sunday video. This is part 2 of a resurrection that I started before I went to Europe for the Dutch pen show. And I started to restore this Conway Stewart 84 from the 1950s and then took the pen to Utrecht with me to the Dutch pen show and used it as a demonstrator for a workshop on how to restore vintage fountain pens. So I've already had the pen apart and it's traveled with me, and now it's back and I want to finish the job and get this pen back to the land of the living and the writing. So don't forget to click right up there to get part 1 of this resurrection series and see how I dissected the pen to this point. We've got the section, the feed, and the nib out. I polished the underside of the Ebonite feed, and I polished the section and cleaned out the barrel and trimmed a latex replacement sack to size. I have not cleaned or polished this nib, and it needs some adjustment as well. I did attempt to take this clip off of here, but I suspect that it's riveted in there and it's not going to come off, so I'll polish around that. And looking at the clip, it looks like it is totally brassed. That means all of the gold plating that was on there has come off and all we're seeing is brass. So we'll polish that up as bright as we can. You can probably see some of the gold is there, but the very peak, all that gold is gone. The cap band doesn't look too bad, but we'll do some polishing up of that cap, but no further disassembly. So what I want to do right now is put the cap and the barrel aside and the feed and the section, and we're going to focus on this nib. Now first of all, I'm going to put it over here where you can see it, and you can see the engraving. It says Conway Stewart 14 CT for carat, gold, and a number 4. So the number 4 size nib. And I'm going to put this on my buffer wheel and we'll polish that up like it's brand new. Take a look at the underside. It's fairly clean. Lots of wear on that gold. So here we are with the nib hot off the buffer and a little dunk in the ultrasonic to get the polishing compound off. I just use a metal polish from the hardware store, a little buff on my jeweler's cloth, and there it is, looking beautiful and brand new again. Look at that. Now let's take a look if we can. Let's get a little closer here, and you can see that it's slightly off in terms of alignment. Before you do any kind of polishing on a nib, you have to have it perfectly aligned, and it's easier to align a nib when it's off the feed. And so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a push here with my fingernails. That's looking much better. Yep, looking very good. You can see it's going to have a bit of flex to it, which is nice. It's not going to be a flexible nib, but it's also going to be a bit stub-like, I think. Looks like a broad italic kind of thing, stubbish. It's too smooth to be an italic, but it looks like it's going to make a really nice line. I'm hoping anyway. So that nib looks terrific. Give it a final polish here. And now we're going to put the nib, feed, and section back together again to help with inserting the Ebonite feed into the Ebonite section. I like to rough up the tail end of the feed with some 400 grit sandpaper, and that creates some fine Ebonite dust, that brownish powder that you see there. It's coming off brown. Then we line up the nib on the feed and get some rubber gripper. You can use elastic bands, or I use shelf matting, works great. And we're going to coat the inside of the section with some of that Ebonite dust. Find the sweet spot. It's lived in this section in a particular place for a long, long time. And if I twist it around, I can actually feel where that sweet spot is. And then using another gripper, I'm just going to give it a push. The feed has come right out to the bottom of that nipple. That's perfect. Polish off my finger marks. And there we have an excellent nib and feed section ready to go. Is it aligned? No. So let's give it a little bit of adjustment here. Around you go. That looks better. And let's see if we're still aligned. No, the feed has knocked it out of alignment slightly. So I'm going to adjust again, just to get those tines perfectly aligned with each other. Not looking too bad. There, that's looking pretty good. So now let's focus on the barrel here. Before I put this back together again, I want to polish this barrel because I don't want the nib on the barrel while I'm trying to polish it on the buffer wheel. So I'm going to take some micromesh to this. We're going to start at 1500 grit and we're going to work through to 1200 grit. We're going to avoid that gold-plated lever right there until we get to about 4000 grit, and then we can start polishing it as well. You have to test gold plate to make sure that you're not going through it. It's much, much thinner than gold filled. And so the same thing with the cap. I'm going to mask that off with masking tape and polish this cap until I get to about 4000 grit, and then take the masking tape off. And then I'm going to use just polishing compound on that clip to see whether we can brighten up that brass, because I've got a feeling all of that gold is pretty much gone. So let's take a look at this barrel here. It was polished a little bit while I was in Utrecht. I polished in and around where it says M. Cunifi. You can see there's still some polish in those letters, and there's lots of cap wear and so forth. And so I'll go through the micromesh, polish that all up, and then finish off on the buffing wheel with some polishing compound. And then we'll do the same thing for the cap. Look at it up here. Lots of wear over the years. I bet you that's going to polish up beautifully. That beautiful ruby red celluloid with the gold veins. It's gorgeous. So that's before. We'll see what it looks like after. So there we made a pass with the 1500 grit micromesh. You can see the M. Cunif coming up very clearly because the dust gets into those crevices. But that's a fairly deep engraving, whereas the Conway Stewart 84 made in England is very, very light. And so I'm completely avoiding that part there. I wanted to double check once I've gone through the 1500. If I still see some scratches or cap wear or something, I'll go at it with a little bit of the 400 grit just on those sections to get that scratch out, because if you don't get it out at 1500 grit, then you're just polishing the scratch from then on. You have to get deeper, and I found there's one scratch right there that I want to get out, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a touch with the 400 grit just to erase that little scratch there, because if the 1500 grit didn't take it out, it's not going to come out. There, found a second one. Then we go over it again with the 1500, and it's completely gone. And then he sees another divot right there. See, the 400 grit is very aggressive, so you have to go slow and not go too deep, because you will create a divot. Try to spread it out, and then go over the whole area again with 1500 grit. And the 1500 grit should erase all of the scratches from the 400 grit, and so on. That's the way it works on up the scale. Now I have to do the end. There's a little dot of what looks like ebonite in there. There's lots of scratches on that end. So I'll maintain the conical angle all the way around on the 1500 grit. And here is our barrel all polished up. Look at that. Isn't celluloid marvelous? What a great material. I put the buffing compound on it and polished it up at high speed. All of those scratches, gouges are gone, and the bottom finial looks great. So by contrast, here's the cap, looking dull as the barrel used to. So now I'm going to go after the cap. I'm going to masking tape that and avoid the clip where I can, and see how well I can get this cap looking just like the barrel. Again, you do a first pass with the 1500 grit, and you look for marks that end up being a little shiny right there. That's where the clip came around and gouged the cap. We inspect the whole cap after doing the 1500 grit to look for any spots that didn't go matte. So it looks like it's just that little bit right there. We'll just touch that up with some 400 grit, and that erases it, and go back over it with the 1500. There we go. Now we'll go through the rest of it. And here is our cap, all polished up. I'm very surprised at that clip. It is indeed gold filled. It looked like it was brassed and gold plated, but even the top finial, look at that. Isn't that amazing? And now I'm going to put the sack back on this section and let it dry, and then we'll install it in the barrel later. I've already trimmed this sack to length so that it comes to right there on the nipple, and then the section comes to right there, just slightly shorter than the end of the barrel. This is a number 16 size sack, and I'm just going to prepare the nipple here by using a little 400 grit sandpaper on that ebonite, and just going to rough it up a little bit. Makes the sack adhere to that nipple a little bit better. I'm going to use my shellacker pen here from the Inky Nib and just paint a bead of shellac all the way around. Don't want to get it on the end. We need ink to flow there. Then we'll put the sack on our sack spreader. You can use a paper clip if you don't have a sack spreader. And we're going to spread that and slip this underneath the leading edge. And then pull it out. And then just give it a small twist so we have a nice seal. And then we're going to add a nice bead of shellac all the way around that seam just to seal it. There we go. That's better. And we'll let that dry overnight. And that little bit of shellac should seal the section in the barrel. Okay, it's the next day and our shellac has dried. I've got some talc here and we're going to put this section and replaced sack back in the barrel. I've got the pressure bar hooked into that lever and we're going to dredge that latex sack in some talc to keep it from sticking inside the barrel. Not so much for installation, just for longevity. So it will keep from sticking to the inside of that barrel for a long time. Just going to keep from making a mess here. There we go. As we know that latex loves to stick to itself and other things. So we're going to make sure that the sack goes between the lever and the side of the barrel. And let's put the lever side up. Then we're going to give it a little gripper material here and give it a push. Yeah, it's a little bit sticky because of that shellac. So I'm just going to heat it a little bit. That'll just expand that celluloid barrel a little bit and make the shellac a little bit tacky. There we go, and it just slid right in there. And it just slid right in there, lickety-split. That's what she said.
That's what she said!
I got a little bit of shellac on there, so I'm going to get that off. A little bit of methyl hydrate will get that off. Just a tiny amount of methyl hydrate. We don't want to get that on the celluloid either because it melts celluloid. I'm going to polish that up a little bit and then we'll test this nib. Okay, I've got my scale out. I'm going to measure the pen empty. It's 7.58 pressed hair, and then we're going to fill it up with some Waterman's Serenity Blue. Give it a pump and listen for bubbles. There we go. You squeeze it, you hear bubbles, and you retract the lever, and you wait a few seconds for that sack to inflate. I'm just going to do it one more time until there's no bubbles, no more bubbles. And let's measure it. And exactly 1 milliliter of ink, which is about standard for that size of a sack. Excellent. Now let's get out some writing stuff and see what we have here. This is circa 1950s, Conway Stewart, 84. And this has a number 4 size, 14 karat gold. It's, it's a stub. We'll see what that measures out to and check out its bounce. Yeah, it's got a bit of bounce to it. That's very nice. And it's got a lot of feedback. So I'm going to polish this with some micro mesh to polish out a little bit of that feedback. Double check my tines. When you're doing this with your loop, hold the pen at an angle away from you so that you're seeing across the top of the surface of the nib that's going to touch the page at that angle. And then you're looking at the actual surface that's touching the page. Looks pretty good. So I'm just going to put a little water on some 8000 grit and just do the points of the compass, holding my wrist firm 8 times, and then do it with 12,000 again. Much smoother. And there's our pen. And I'll be back with my thoughts about this fountain pen resurrection. So what are my thoughts about this fountain pen resurrection? Well, this pen has been all over the place, hasn't it? It's come to me from England, and then I took it back to Amsterdam, and then I took it to Naples, and back to Amsterdam again, and then back to Calgary. I did a partial disassembly of the pen before I left, polished it a little bit during my workshop, not too much, and then finished the job when I got home. I've got to say that I'm really pleased at how that ruby red crushed ice celluloid has polished up beautifully. It just glows. But the most surprising thing to me was that hardware. I did not expect that to shine like that at all. It just proves that the Conway Stewarts from the 1950s are as resilient as the Parker and Schaefer pens of the 1940s and 50s were as well. This is all gold-filled hardware. It still shows signs of wear, but compared to where it was before, this pen is marvelous. I was just really surprised at how beautifully that polished up. I was not able to get the top finial off of that clip, but I solidified that clip in there so that it doesn't move and it's solid and it's polished all the way around. I left the M. Cunif or Cunifi, however you pronounce that, signature there, engraving in the barrel as a personal touch of history with this pen. It is rather deep. I could have taken it out, but it would have left a slight divot there. So I'd rather not do more damage than is necessary to a fountain pen. And the one thing I was expecting was that nib would write nicely, and it does. When I was examining it, it looked like it had a stub-like quality to it, and it does indeed have a stub-like quality. The horizontal line is 0.4, the vertical line is just about 0.9 millimeters. There's a little bit of bounce to that gold nib. It's not a flex, but you get instant line variation with this very, very juicy 14 karat gold nib. This is a smaller pen, but it posts nicely and securely and is a good size in the hand. So I'm very happy with this restoration. If you're interested in purchasing this pen, I'm selling it for $170 US plus shipping. So send me an email at inkquiringminds@gmail.com with your name and your address, and I'll get you a shipping quote. And there you have it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell to get instant notifications whenever a new video is posted. And if you join as a member of my channel at only 99 cents a month, you'll get cool emojis, badges, sneak peek unboxing videos, as well as instant access to my videos the moment I post them. Plus, basic members at 99 cents a month will get 10% off pen resurrected pens like this, and patron level members at $5 a month will get 20% off these pen purchases. And that just leaves it for me to say thank you for watching, and that's all she wrote.
I made this.